the investment landscape, Sumpa and Partners Risk Reports. And those are some big stories this morning. If you check out the highstreetjournal.com this morning, and quite a number of stories. Organic fertilizer, local seeds and irrigation, Dr. Aka plus government's agriculture interventions, and nobody will sell Valco, and that's according to the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakufibua. Then yesterday I saw him, when he visited Valco and was interacting with the staff and giving them the assurances that, look, Ghana government is not going to sell Valco, but government is rather interested in ensuring that Valco is up and doing. Essentially giving the, the assurances to the people, to the workers, that their work or whatever they are doing there is safe and intact, and that government would ensure that whatever they do would inure to the benefit of Valco, the country first of all, to Valco, and then the people who are working there. So that's Emmanuel Amakufibua there. Check out the highstreetjournal.com this morning for some of these big stories and have a read. Let's check out what My Joy Online has also reported this morning. It says fuel prices set for sharp rise from August 1 as crude oil surge, CD weekends bite. That's the biggest story on the homepage of My Joy Online this morning. Now, requiem mass held for Ambassador Gbeho. Okay, Archbishop of Canterbury committed £10 million slavery, or committed to £10 million slavery fund while on Cape Coast Castle tour. Government announces week-long national tribute to departed 8 of helicopter crash. And Ghana's cocoa production is expected to fall 16% next season. Okay, that's one story that I'm interested in getting the details, reading it and understanding why it is saying so. Felix Kwachi Ofosu rejects claims government influence Sedina Tamaklo Ationu acquittal. And vote buying remains a concern among voters ahead of Joy News' Democracy is Not for Sale forum. And Mahama establishes 1 million trust funds for children of helicopter crash victim. And some story beyond the borders of Ghana. Oprah Winfrey to close her school for girls in South Africa. Okay. All right. And Apple warns of future supply constraints for Mac, iPhone, and iPad. That's some news there for all the Mac users, the iPhone users, and what have you. That's some news for you, that Apple is actually giving some warning of future supply constraints. Okay, so those are some big stories on the homepage of My Joy Online this morning. To the City Newsroom.com, and it says the big story: Ghana's cocoa production expected to fall 16% next season. And Ghana spent $36 billion, or Ghana cedis, importing chicken, rice, and sugar in 2025. That's a serious one. So what happened to the Nkoko Nkete program? What happened to the fact that Ghana is an agrarian economy, and when you visit the Akuse areas, the Aveime areas, we produce a lot of rice. Why are we still importing rice at this point in time? So we are spending a lot of money importing chicken, rice, and sugar. Ghana. Anyway, sometimes when you read some of these headlines, there are a lot of questions on your mind that you want to pose. So sugar production, once upon a time, I'll come back to that, but we used to have the factories that were producing sugar for us as a country. What has happened to all of those investments? We can talk of Gazelle in Asuchari. We can talk of the Commander Sugar Factory. What has happened? What has happened? Sometimes I ask myself the question, is it the abro in the system or what? I don't get it. Okay, we'll come back to that story. I would definitely have my take on it during a piece of my mind. Now, macroeconomic stability alone is not economic transformation, and that's according to Professor Buckman. Government announces activities to mark first anniversary of 2025 helicopter crash. Constitution review. Freddie Blair questions silence on indemnity clause. Parliament approves Rock Africa deal for electronic road toll system. AG files stay of execution against Sedina Tamaklo's appeal ruling, and that's what I told you about that we'll be delving into, and it's one big issue that we are considering this morning on the morning show. 5-year presidential term won't improve governance. Okay, so that's someone who is indifferent towards the proposal by the Constitution Review Commission, and I've heard a lot of people, actually applaud this. It's perhaps one of the few people, Dr. Asante is one of the few people who have heard talk against this proposal. What is his position on this? You want to stay tuned? We'll get into it and get you informed. Now, government does not owe spokesperson for protesting UK students. Okay. Ghana's High Commissioner has clarified anti-LGBTQ bill to be passed before July 1 or July 31 recess, Bagbin assures Chief Imam. And that's essentially, in fact, it's going to be my peace of mind this morning, that if they are assuring that they are going to pass it, let's ensure that we pass it. And all of those issues to do with it, whether or not it is the right bill that's used to be, as opposed to, the earlier parliament, or certain clauses have been taken out, or what have you, we should put all those issues aside. Our parliamentarians should be able to deal with some of these issues in the interest of the people. So let's see. Today, 31st, isn't it? So Speaker Bagbin is assuring that it would be passed. So he assured it would be passed before July 31. Okay, so July is here. I mean, July is ending. Today is the last day of the month of July. Today is 31st July. Let's see what happens to it. Okay. Checking out what Ghana Web has also reported this morning, and quite a number of stories, a lot if you check out Ghana Web this morning. And okay, sometimes internet can actually fail you. Internet. Okay, the big story on the front page or the homepage of GhanaWeb.com this morning, it says, would he have died if he had power? Video of Christo Asafo members sparks debates online. NDC could suffer NPP's fate if it fails to learn. Asha Yisi on ex-Maslock boss acquittal and discharge. Okay, Parliament to reconsider anti-LGBTQ plus bill before recess. Key clauses to be considered. And that's according to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. The Attorney General challenges acquittal of Sedina Tamaklo. And Sedina Tamaklo's acquittal defies law, logic, and common sense. And that's according to the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kudia. And, okay. Kolebu CEO rallies corporate bodies, philanthropists, to support child health. Sedina Tamaklo's acquittal, like I told you, and the MPP says that it defies law, logic, and common sense. Amansi West DC urges residents to bury political differences and unite for development. And physician calls for free hepatitis B vaccines for adults. How about the kids? How about children? We engaged Dr. Irajwa Nunu here. I think it was sometime last week, where there's the mother to child transmission, and reported cases of children contracting hepatitis B and what have you. How about them? I'm just interested in the story. So maybe it's a call in the right direction, but I'm just asking the question, how about the kids or the children coming up lately? Okay. So 3news.com also has some interesting stories. The government announces week-long activities to commemorate August 6th, 2025 helicopter disaster. It comes with a picture of the 8 gallant men of the society who on that fateful day, lost their lives because of that helicopter crash. And Vanessa Banini wins top intern season 3. Changing trends in human trafficking requires a change in law enforcement response, and that's according to the CID boss. 11 pupils hospitalized after their school bus crashed on the NY highway. Government assures parents of full medical support. Sometimes when you hear some of these stories, it breaks you because we all have kids, and to hear that your kid is in the bus coming home, or perhaps going somewhere, sometimes they go for excursion. Just weeks ago we heard about the one in Uganda, which myself and KOJ we were talking about. You remember that story where KOJ and myself talked about the accident? I think they collided with a train or something like that. Sometimes when you hear some of these things, it breaks your heart. It says that 11 pupils are receiving treatment at a 37 military hospital after a school bus transporting them was involved in a road crash with a tipper truck on the NY highway at Jowulu on July 30. Some of the children are reported to have sustained critical injuries, while others are being treated for varying degrees of trauma. The injured pupils were rushed to the 37 military hospital, where medical personnel immediately began administering emergency care. The incident drew anxious parents and relatives to the hospital, many of whom waited for hours for updates on the condition of their children. The victims have been identified and their names. Okay, so the school, as pupils of Ask God International School, located at Ajekujo in the Tema West municipality. Sometimes some of these stories, it's only God who protects us. But you see, we can also be careful. I don't know the circumstance or the condition under which this accident actually occurred, but sometimes when you see some of the way some of these folks drive on our roads, if you see the way they drive, it is as though they are the masters of the road, and so they give no respect to other vehicles. And I'm talking about the tipper truck drivers. I'm not saying the accident was caused by the tipper truck drivers. I'm just raising a very important issue. That look at how small our roads are. And so you compete with some of these big trucks, which are metallic in nature. It is not that like the usual saloon cars or the usual cars that we see on our roads. A lot of these tipper trucks are metallic in nature. And so if you collide with them, chances are that the driver of the tipper truck will be safe. But you in that small saloon car or even that 4x4 car, which is not metallic, what do they use in manufacturing our vehicles? Is it fiber something? It is something. Chances are that you are going to lose your life. So sometimes when you find them, especially when we're driving on the motorway, when we're driving on highways and you find some of these truck drivers and the speed with which they drive on our roads, you get scared for yourself. And to think that these accidents involve kids. And I'm sure either they were going home or they were coming home from an excursion or something of a sort. The thing is that they were in a vehicle, they were in a school vehicle, and the accident actually happened. We pray and hope that, sometimes we're able to deal with some of these things in the country, because sometimes when you hear some of these stories, it breaks you. It breaks you, honestly. It breaks you. Okay. To the biggest online news portal in Ghana this morning, the classfmonline.com, checking out what it reported. And breaking, just as it happened yesterday, breaking, Court of Appeal acquits and discharges convicted former Maslock CEO Sedina. It's Tamaklo Ationu. And Sedina Tamaklo's acquittal defies law, logic, and common sense. And that's according to the NPP. Court ends 13-year amputee football dispute as High Court rules in favor of NSA and NPC. Upon Fosu calls for national unity, bring again in address to Ghanaians. Sedina Tamaklo's story has it's generated a lot of conversations online, and government accepts proposal to extend presidential parliamentary terms to 5 years. Attorney General to challenge Court of Appeal's acquittal of Sedina Tamaklo, and WAEC warns public against fraudsters claiming to upgrade 2016 BEC results. So that study is still with us. I recall those days when you're done with school, when you're done with senior secondary school, sometimes you get some people approach you and tell you that since your result is not good, they can upgrade it, and because you are so naive as at the time, you are so naive. A lot of people actually fell to this. People would apply into the various tertiary institutions. So you know that your results were not so good. So you had some E's, you had some F's, you had some D's, and you need to better some of the grades that you had in that regard. And you get so frustrated. You're hearing stories of your other folks advancing to the universities and the various tertiary institutions, and you are so frustrated, and you also want to do something, and you go see someone to upgrade your results. Mind you, this is somebody who doesn't work with WAEC. You give an account of your stewardship throughout the period in which you found yourself in secondary school or senior high school as it is now. You just went there to give an account of what you've learned over the period, and what you learned over the period is what was reflected in the grades that you got. But yet we still have people who went to upgrade their results and applied into the various tertiary institutions, and they were caught. And once you are caught, some of these things are criminal. Some of these things. So it's a warning to the youth out there, especially those coming from the various senior high schools in the country, that look, if you failed, you failed. If you passed, you passed. I mean, what is wrong with failure? It should be a lesson rather. It should rather serve as a morale booster, if I may. I mean, to know that, well, I failed in this regard, or I failed in this subject, so what do I have to do to ensure that if I rewrite, I get it better, or I'm able to pass and pass very well? Those are the things you should be asking. We had big people in this society who said, or who, when we listened to their stories, they told us that they failed their exams so many times, and yet they came back to write them and got them right. Life is not really about after senior high school I failed, and so that's it. You should go back at it. Try and keep trying again. And someday you'll get it right. Okay, so government backs lowering presidential age limits to 35, and that's according to Attorney General, who yesterday briefed the nation. And Ghana Education Service defends WAEC sanctions against